Welcome everyone. Today we're going to be talking about water supply in Cologne. Cologne is home to over 1 million people spread out over 400 square kilometres. And to supply water to this many people in a city of this size requires complex infrastructure and a secure water supply. Today we're going to explore a bit more about how that works and how the water goes from source to your homes. Cologne's water supply comes primarily from groundwater and not directly from the river, as maybe you previously believed. So, around Cologne there are a network of 8 groundwater pumping stations, and each station is surrounded by a protected area and has numerous groundwater pumping wells, which we will talk a bit more about later. Behind me you can see the locations of the 8 groundwater pumping stations, and as you see, none of them are located directly in the city, but around the outskirts of the city. What this means is that the catchment area for these wells is not intensively used land, which is important when we talk about water quality a bit later on. The plentiful groundwater supply in Cologne has many benefits. One of these main ones is that the groundwater supply is plentiful and will see Cologne through various dry spells without water supply becoming a concern. This is really important considering that Cologne is starting to see more dry spells due to climate change. Another benefit of having the groundwater supply is that it's naturally filtered, meaning that the water doesn't have to be treated very much before it can be supplied to your homes. 65% of Cologne's water supply comes from groundwater, so let's explore a bit more about how it's pumped out of the ground. This is what you'll find under the ground at any groundwater well. What we have here is a pipe that goes down under the surface, and we have 2 layers of filtration. We've got a coarse gravel layer and a fine gravel layer. And what these do are filter out any sand and soil particles before the water heads into the well and before it's pumped up to the water pumping station. What do these wells look like from the surface? Well, historically, they would look something like this. And today, you'll find them looking a bit more like this. And you will find many of these around any of the water pumping stations in Cologne. So here we can see how the activated charcoal filtration works. Water seeps into the top of these tanks that are behind this wall and slowly seeps through the activated carbon layers. The tanks are about 4 meters tall, and what the activated carbon does is remove principally any organic substances that are in the water. So now let's look at the water supply infrastructure in Cologne in a little bit more detail. Firstly, we start with these big pipes, and these big pipes come directly from the water pumping stations and the water works. As we get a bit further away from the water pumping stations, the pipe gets narrower in order to maintain pressure. We also have, at this stage, really big valves which are used to cut off the water supply if necessary. As we get further away from the pumping stations, the pipe narrows again in order to maintain pressure again. And along the way, along the pipe network, we find other important parts of the infrastructure. For example, other valves and also fire hydrants, so in case of emergencies. And we also have the signs along the way to show where the fire hydrants are. Once again, you'll see the pipe further keeps on narrowing, and we have more valves. The reason for this many valves is so that we only have to shut off small amounts of the piping network in order to do repairs. A repair such as this one, where you see how the pipe has gone from a cast iron to a more plasticky material. As we get further and closer to the home water supply, the pipe gets narrower, and from this point onwards we use only plastic pipes as the pressure does not have to be as intense. So as we keep going, we enter the home, and as water comes into your home, you have a water meter and an extra water filter, and also another valve to control the water supply into your home directly. So hopefully now you can see, you have a better picture of how the water infrastructure works from the pumping stations all the way to your homes. Drinking water supply quality is one of the most important things. So there are various provisions in place. We already saw the filters in the pumps and the activated carbon filtration at the pumping stations, but there are many other provisions used to help protect the groundwater quality. One of these is rigorous testing at every part of the water infrastructure. Rheinenergie has a network of labs with a multidisciplinary team of scientists constantly checking the water at every stage for quality, and they can detect even the smallest changes in water chemistry. This is one thing that helps keep the water quality at safe levels. Another part is protecting the land where the groundwater supply is recharged. Now, Rheinenergie has bought up land around every water supply plant so they can carefully control the land use near the water supply stations and make sure that the primary land use is purely protecting the groundwater quality. Additionally, up to over 50% of the land cover in Cologne is protected land or groundwater protection zones, where land use is regulated in order to protect the groundwater supply. One of the main restrictions included in this is the limitation of livestock and livestock grazing, so that nitrate pollution does not enter the groundwater, as this is one of the main concerns with water supply across Germany. And that brings us to the end of this short video on water supply in Cologne. Hopefully you enjoyed and found it interesting, and hopefully you learned something as well. Thank you for watching.